So now y'all come into my kitchen. This is Cooking Today. Hi, welcome to Cooking Today. Look at all of these vegetables that we have around us today and tools. Our good knife, our microplane zester, our cutting board that's always in front of us but needs a little care. We have a cast iron skillet that's nice and dirty with a piece of cooked chicken in it. We're having a how-to day on Cooking Today. There are so many kitchen skills that I've learned over the years that changed a lot for me in the kitchen, and I share them a little bit at a time as we go through all of our episodes, of course, but I thought it would be really nice to have a specific day dedicated just to kitchen skills, how to chop and peel and all of that, dice, chop garlic, how to really chop an onion, how to get the flesh out of a pepper where you can make it in strips or we can chop it. We're also going to do zesting of lemons. There's a way to do that. We're going to trim Brussels, wipe down mushrooms, and then at the end, we're going to have a how-to on caring for wood, wooden spoons, your cutting boards, and also a little TLC for your cast iron. All these great skills for you to learn, starting with onions, garlic, and peppers. This seems to kind of be something that we use in our kitchens all the time, doesn't it? And almost every recipe that I have on the show begins with garlic and onions, almost always. So I thought we would have a little tutorial. So here we go. This is a head of garlic. When you are reading a recipe and it says to use a clove of garlic, it is not talking about this entire piece. That's a head of garlic. A clove is one of these mini little pods that come in all of this paper right here in your garlic. So when it says to use a clove of garlic, you're wanting to bust open this little head, and by putting my weight on my hands, just kind of rolling it around, it loosens all of that paper and it allows you to get in there and break out one of the cloves. And then I just throw all this away. I'll be honest, I love garlic and I use it in everything, but it's a little bit of a mess and a headache to work around all the paper, and it's real sticky, and it's supposed to be, but it's worth it because it's so good in your recipes. So you've got your cloves. And so what you want to do is take your knife, be very careful, and give it a pound. And what that does, since these are wrapped in paper, it kind of busts that paper open so that you can easily peel it. Did you see how quickly that just came off? Then there's this one little rough end on it that you want to go ahead and chop off. And then you're just ready to slice. So I just get my knife with your tip down. You don't have to go like this. If you have a rocking knife like this is a rocking Santoku. It's my favorite. It's at Unimays. Keep your tip down and then just rock, 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 and watch your fingers. Okay, and then you've got your little bits there, and then you can rotate that whole clove. Keep your fingers back and go over it. Gosh, garlic smells so good, doesn't it? And it's super sticky. I mean, it sticks to your knife, it sticks to your fingers, but that's it. And then you've got your little garlic clove. Wasn't that easy? That's how you do it. I know a lot of you like to buy garlic already pre-chopped. You can do that if you want to, but sure is nice to use your fresh. Now, let's do an onion, okay? Onions are papery, and you want to buy the ones that are dry and papery and kind of firm. You don't want them soft. So we'll do a red onion because I think you can really see how you can see how it chops a little better. So we have two ends. Our root end, see our root end? It's got the hair on it. See this one? It has the hair on it. Most people are inclined to chop both of these ends off. You actually want to go from end to end rather than through the belly. You want to cut through the root end and the opposite end. See? We cut the root end in half. Now you want to keep the root end intact. There's the side that has the hair on it. The opposite end, you want to cut that one off. and then peel back that tough layer that's on the outside, or that papery layer that's on the outside. This is so great, y'all. Most of the time what we do is we cut both ends off, right? Then we start just kind of making some slices, and then we end up trying to chop it, and then we have a huge pile of not very evenly cut onions, and then we're chasing our onions all over our cutting board. And then it's not very routine and it doesn't look very nice. And we don't want to do that. So our root end, we've peeled back that toughest outside layer. We're going to take our knife and make little vertical cuts like this. And then you ready for this? We're just going to do our cuts. Chopped, chopped. See how they're already cut for you? Chopped for you. Look at that. Chopped onions, and they're all nice and uniform in size. Keeping the root end intact helps hold your onion half together. How about that? When we come back, we're going to do peppers. We're going to move on to some of our other things. This is Cooking Today. Hi, welcome back to Cooking Today. We're having a how-to day in the kitchen. Learning how to use your knife, learning how to chop onions and garlic and pepper, some of our basic vegetables that are kind of in our kind of classic flavor base that you probably cook a lot. I'm going to show you how to do a bell pepper now, and then we're going to move on to some other little things, just moving really quickly so you kind of have a little bit of extra teaching and skill, kind of raises your level in the kitchen, and knowing more always makes you enjoy your time in the kitchen more. It makes it easier on you. And then you just feel like you know what you're doing, and that always makes us feel good, doesn't it? Okay, bell peppers. There are a couple of ways to do bell peppers. If I have time, we'll do both. But here is a very quick way to do a bell pepper. Hold it up. I like to make sure that the bottom is equal. You know, a lot of times they're not the same. Actually, I'll do this one this way. I'm going to kind of make the bottom of it flat, like that. And then, you know, there's just all those veins and everything around the inside of your pepper. So one way you can do it is just go right around the outside. See how I just cut that and there's no vein inside of it or seeds? See, just like that. We're just working our way around all of that stuff that's on the inside. And then on this one, you can actually just lay it down since you've gone around all three sides. So look, I'm not having to pull out all of those veins and seeds and all that stuff that's inside. And then you just kind of have the part that you would have discarded anyway. You do have this little end, this little flower that you chopped off the end. You can totally just chop that or break those into circles and eat them. That's delicious. So that's one way to do it. Then you have these nice little flat pieces, right? You want to put the flat side down so that they don't rock. And you want to be sure you have a good knife so that you can slice these. And then you just make your knife, put your knife down and cut through. Knife down, push through. Knife down, push through. That's why it's so nice to have a rocking knife. So if you were to do a little salad or fajitas, you've got these great little strips. Or if you were going to do like a little vegetable tray where you wanted these for dipping, there's that. Once you have your strips cut, then you can just gather them up and do your knife down and then rock through them for your chops if you were doing them in a dip or something like that. And then you've got your little chopped peppers. Isn't that easy? That's my favorite way to do it, so I'm probably not even going to show you the other way. I actually tried to do it with Sam one time when we were making chicken fajitas on the show, and he totally showed me up. He did such a better job than I did. But what you do is you cut both ends off. I'll tell you really quickly, but I'm not going to do it because I'm not very good at it. One end, the other end, okay? And then you cut one little slit in one side, and then you have to get your knife in here. This is why I don't do it. I think it's much harder. You get your knife in here and you start to roll it out and follow it along and cut the guts out like this. Do you see how you're just kind of keeping it in one big part and slicing out the insides? I'm not great at it. Takes a little bit more skill, and I think the other way is easier. And then I don't have all these random pieces left over that I have to mess with, but that's another way you can do it. I like to just go around it 4 times. Easy. Okie doke. Let's trim Brussels sprouts. I know you're thinking, we don't even eat Brussels sprouts that much. You should, because they're delicious. And if you haven't tried the recipe that I made in the holiday season of December, they're roasted Brussels sprout with like brown sugar and bacon. It'll change everything you believe about Brussels. We're not going to spend 5 seconds on this. A lot of recipes say trim the Brussels, and all you want to do, there's that woody part right there that's yuck. Watch this. Trim the Brussels. Trim the Brussels. That's all there is to it. Okay? I know a lot of people are not sure. Are you supposed to leave them whole? Are you supposed to slice them? That one actually doesn't have much of a little woody stem on it, and so you really don't have to trim them all. But if it says trim the Brussels, that's all there is to it. Okay? If you want to, you can just cut them in half, top to bottom, and roast them. Try it, y'all. It's delicious. Okay, Brussels. Now we're going to wash mushrooms. Mushrooms, when you buy them fresh, they come dirty. I mean, they're covered in dirt, right? And they have these big, long stems on them. Sometimes the stems are tender, so you don't have to worry about it. But sometimes they're kind of tough, and you don't want to eat them. So you can just trim the bottoms of those off if you don't want that, or you can just pop the stems off altogether if you decide you just don't even want to eat them. The only way you do these, this is so easy. Damp paper towel. You don't want to run them under water because they're porous, and we don't want them to absorb water. We want them to absorb like beef stock or wine or sherry or something that we're cooking them in. All you want to do is clean them off with a damp paper towel. Just go right around the outsides, and look at the dirt we're getting off of there. Don't submerge them and don't run them under water, but do use a wet paper towel to wipe off the gunk. And then you can slice those and saute them in some really great liquid. Serve them with a steak. Okay, when we come back, we're going to zest a lemon and start talking about caring for our wood. This is Cooking Today. Hi, welcome back. We're having a how-to day in the kitchen. We have learned how to properly chop an onion, how to chop and mince garlic. We've washed mushrooms and trimmed Brussels. So we're doing all kinds of things in here today to help you up your kitchen skills so that you have more confidence and that you just enjoy your time here in the kitchen a whole lot better. Now, I'll tell you, we were going to zest lemons. We're going to save that for the end. We're going to move to cleaning and caring for our wood and our cast iron. So, one of the things I know a lot of people are really concerned about cooking with wood or using wooden boards or wooden utensils. If you will treat them, they are perfectly fine. What this does, mineral oil, it actually creates a barrier on your wood so it's less absorbent of like bacteria and residue and particles and all of that. So you do need to care for your wood. I know many of you have wood in your kitchens that are absolutely dried up and cracked. I always say it's kind of like think about your hands in the winter or when you cook a lot or you garden and you're washing your hands an awful lot and never lotioning your skin, how they dry up. They need moisture. Wood just needs moisture. And so all I do on my wooden utensils is never put them in the dishwasher. It's too much water. It dries them out. And never submerge them. Like, don't leave them in a pot of like soapy water thinking you're going to get to it later. It causes it to expand and break. As soon as you use it, just hit it with hot soapy water really quick and then dry it. And then on occasion, like I've been cooking an awful lot lately, my wooden utensils are starting to look really matte and kind of dried out. So on occasion, after you've cleaned them really well, you just need to use mineral oil. And this is the mineral oil we have at Unimaze called Good Wood. And I use these little blue bar mop towels. And I use my little shop towel to go over my wooden utensils. I do the same with my cutting boards. Same thing. Never soak them in water. Clean them pretty promptly with hot soapy water. Just don't soak them or submerge them. And Then I hit them every once in a while with mineral oil. And you want to have a pretty good dose of it on there. See, look at the difference already. Doesn't it just look shiny and glossy? You don't have to be stingy. You can actually be pretty generous with it, kind of letting it be, you know, kind of standing on it, because you really want to let it kind of soak in. So kind of resist the urge to rub it off. You want to kind of let it be thick so that it can soak in like thirsty skin. Does that make sense? So you would want to do this, and then I always just kind of lay them on. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Look how much better that looks. It looks happier, doesn't it? I lay them out on a board or on a sheet pan like this and let them just kind of drink in whatever oil it can take. And then just before I stick them back in my cabinet, I just wipe off any excess oil. Okie doke. Now, kind of the same school of thought and care goes for your cast iron. I have a dirty cast iron skillet right here that we've grilled some chicken in, and it's got the gunk in the bottom. I know you're so tempted to want to put hot soapy water in this and scrub that like crazy. You don't want to use soap on your cast iron. Instead, you want to just use hot water, and I let it just kind of wash around, and you can use steel wool or anything like that to scrape off the outside bits. You can also use, look, I'll show you. You can also use salt, like if you have coarse salt. I have coarser salt than this, but you can use salt, and you can use, gosh, I don't know, I'll use this little towel again, or steel wool. It creates kind of a grit. And I just go around my pan with the salt, and it helps scrape up those exterior bits, but you want the flavor that's cooked down into your skillet to remain. If you were to use soapy water, you would be washing away all that good stuff, and that's what you work so hard to get. This is actually my uncle, who is no longer with us. This was his cast iron skillet, and it's got lots and lots of years of good cooking in it. So see, I've used the salt to kind of scrape off the bits. Now, you just use hot water to get it cleaned. And then you don't ever want, kind of the same school of thought with our wood, you don't want water to sit in this or on it because it could rust. So after you give it a good rinse and it's nice and clean, let me see if I can get my other little towel. Dry it. I give it a little dry off. This is so easy, y'all. Oh my goodness. Y'all need cast iron in your life. It's the best cooking. I dry it off. I wipe it down. And then just before I put it back in my cabinet, I give it just a little spin of oil and wipe it in. So you're kind of pre-seasoned and ready to go and nice and moisturized for the next time that you cook. Is that easy? Okay. Look at all this you're learning today. When we come back, we're going to zest a lemon and call it a day. This is Cooking Today. Hi, welcome back to Cooking Today. It's a how-to day. We're just about finished. We've done all kinds of things. I hope you'll take notes, and we'll have it on our Facebook page as well, all these little tips. The last two, these are good ones. I zest lemons a lot in my recipes, in my pastas, in my sauces, in my dressings. Citrus just seems to brighten everything up. It's such a good fresh bite. And the most important thing for you to know about zesting a lemon is that you really just want to go over one spot once. So what we're trying to get is just this yellow. We don't want to go over that same spot again, because once you get beyond the yellow, just that very, oh, smells so good. Just beyond is that white pith, and it's bitter there. We only want that good little outside scraping of just the rind. So you don't want to go over the same spot, because then you're going to end up getting the bitter part. So there you go on your zest. Delicious. And finally, this is so important for all of us to know, checking for your baking soda to know if it is still fresh. I know a lot of people have had the same box of baking soda since they moved 13 years ago. It's probably time to get a new one. The best way to do it, to test your baking soda, pour a little white vinegar in a bowl and then add a tablespoon or a teaspoon of baking soda right to it and it should fizz. Listen. There you go. I have fresh baking soda. This is great for your cornbread and for the rise in your cakes and all kinds of other things. You want to be sure it's fresh. All kinds of how-to tips for you today to make you a better cook in the kitchen. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you'll try all of our recipes with all of these great tips. Love every bite. This is Cooking Today.